Welcome to the Beyond the Diagnosis podcast with me, Dr. Kylie. We are in season 5, which means every Tuesday episode is an episode that you are familiar with and love. And every Thursday episode, which this is all about practitioners. I'm here to help you, my fellow colleagues. And inside this episode, you're about to hear something I've never told before, because I want to take you back to my chapter 1. So many of you see my chapter 22 right now, and you think that it's going to happen for you like that. Well, it didn't happen for me like that either. So let me take you back to chapter 1 of my journey with these live workshops. Okay, this is in 2018. I started my practice January 3rd of 2018. I graduated in March of 2017. So yeah, I'm new to the game, but I have put at least $750,000 in coaching in the last 4 years. I remember meeting a fellow colleague and him telling me that he'd spent $500,000 in the last 20 years. And I remember thinking, holy crap, that's a huge number. And I've surpassed it in 4 years. And that's not including babysitting for my kids over the last 4.5 years. And that's not including the 4 years in which I worked for free. So I could take that money and put it into building this practice and building who I am and how I do things and getting the best coaching in the entire world. So that's my chapter 1 versus my chapter 22. I've put a lot into this. Okay. Now people will always say, well, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been doing this for 5 years. What's the difference? Do you have 40 years of experience? Or do you have 1 year of experience 40 times? Let me say that again. Do you have 25 years of experience? Or do you have 1 year of experience 25 times? Think about it. I've only been in this for not even 5 years. It's July 2022. I started January 3rd of 2018. I've packed a ton into 4.5 years. Now, not only have I paid for a lot of coaching, I've paid for a lot of help. I am fearless. And if there's anything I could teach you today, you're going to have fears. Go past them. So let's talk about the chapter 1 of my live workshops. Okay. So if you've been around me or if you're just new to me, I highly, highly, highly recommend live workshops. I don't recommend webinars unless you're going to spend thousands of dollars on sending traffic to them per month. Don't do it. Host a live workshop. Now, this live workshop can be virtual, Zoom, just like this, or back in 2018 when nobody knew what Zoom was, I rented out hotel conference rooms, just little conference rooms that were like $75 an hour. And I did this in a couple of different locations throughout Utah. I had a little tiny brick and mortar practice. It was basically the reception area and then my office. 2 rooms that were like 800 square feet total in Roy, Utah, which is like 5 miles from systemic formulas that I had no clue even existed. Okay. And I grew up here, guys. I grew up from I'm sitting in my brother's old room. That's now my office. Long story. But things just happen and that's where I'm supposed to be. So here I am. So back in 2018, I'm renting out these rooms. I remember the very first workshop I ever hosted. I had probably 25 people attend. This was at a hotel in Ogden, Utah, just right off the freeway. So it was really easily accessible. Again, 5 miles north of Systemic Formulas, company that I, again, had no clue even existed. But I didn't spend any ads or anything on this. It was literally just me getting out word of mouth. Basically, family and friends, people from my church came to this evening workshop that I did live. Now it was Kelly and I at the time. Kelly's still my full-time assistant and rock star team member. And we did this presentation on hormones. And it was all about libido. Okay. Now I went into this presentation, I had my whole thing planned out. I met Greg Mojon like 2 weeks beforehand, who's also in this group and a very close colleague and friend. And he was like, no, scratch the whole thing. That's not how you're supposed to be doing this. Because I had in my mind education. I had like a literally a piece of paper that had a list of symptoms that was estrogen dominant, progesterone dominant, like, you know, the things, right? And he's like, no, what drives people to make decisions is emotion. So it was like 48 hours before we flipped the entire thing and we made it about, yes, we taught a lot. I love to teach. Teaching is marketing, education is marketing. But then I had Kelly tell her story because I didn't have a story. I don't have a health transformation story. Kelly does. So I had Kelly tell her story. And then at the end, I was so brave. I had never done this before. In fact, talking about money, I hated it. I would get like spider feeling all the way up my arms, and just it doesn't matter if it was $1, $100, $10,000. It didn't matter what the number was. I didn't like talking about money. I was not confident. I was not comfortable with it. And most importantly, I did not want to hear a no on the other side. So at the time I was doing initial consultations, not lab stuff yet, but I was doing initial consultations where we go over the health history, we go over the labs that they had and see if we needed more. Most of the time I would run more. And this was a 1.5 hour consultation that included the report of findings, which was an hour and a half. So basically 3 hours of one-on-one time with like another 2 hours of my time outside of the appointment. You want to know what I charge for it? $195. But it gets even better. At that workshop, I told them that if they booked it before they left, which is a must do if you're going to have a successful event, they booked it before they left, I would give it to them for $50 off. So I spent all this time for $145. Holy smokes. Again, this is my chapter 1. I probably had over 50%, if not higher, convert in that workshop. Okay, so I'm doing great. The first workshop was a success. So we book another one. This one's in Cache Valley, which is the northern point of Utah. It's like an hour and a half drive from my house where I lived and where the clinic was. But again, I had this idea of somehow I've got to be able to break free of my location and expand, because my location is not great for the type of business I'm doing. Functional medicine in Utah is really difficult to thrive. It's coming around. So wherever you are, break free of it. I promise you, the world is open, especially since March 13th of 2020. Holy smokes, the world knows Zoom now. Before then, they didn't. So I throw a couple $100 in a Facebook ad, get people to sign up for this workshop that's an hour and a half away from me, all about, again, hormones. I think I had 4 or 5 patients come from that. So this is how I'm building my clientele. I'm hosting these workshops. I'm going from hotel conference room to hotel conference room, hosting about one a month. Then I get this idea, you know what, let's go to Salt Lake. Let's host one in Salt Lake. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to tell you that the one in Cache Valley and the one in Salt Lake, I bombed it. I chickened out when it came to the pitch. I invited them to become a new patient, but I did not require them to register before they walked out of the room. Bad mistake. I froze. I had someone in the room that I didn't want to hear to talk money with. There was just so many, I just wasn't good. I wasn't comfortable at it at the moment. The first one was a big hit. And then number 2 and 3, I literally bombed, and there were only like 10 to 15 people in each room. But that was how I was building my practice. Didn't go well. So if you're going to do it, pitch it and pitch it confidently. Practice. You're gonna fail. I had failed numerous times. More importantly, or the biggest fail came when I drove 5.5 hours to St. George, Utah, which is southern Utah. I held a conference or a workshop on a Friday night because that was when I could get down there. It was over the weekend. Don't hold conferences or workshops on Friday night. That was mistake number one. Mistake number two was, I don't know what happened, but everything went wrong. We had one person walk through the door. One. And she wasn't even there for herself. She was there for her daughter, who lived in another state and had infertility struggles. In fact, I remember this poor girl, 24 years old. She's been through IVF 3 times. $75,000 cha-ching like that. Trying so desperately to have her own baby. And at that point where the mom walked in the door, she had just miscarried at like 6 or 8 weeks. So here I am. I have this whole spiel about hormones to give it to one person in the room. Oh my gosh, it was so embarrassing. I cannot tell you how embarrassing it was to have one person show up to a live workshop in which I drove, spent the whole weekend set aside for it. Fast forward, 2019 happens. I got in with a gym, a local gym who hosted, it was a ladies only gym. I was actually working with the owner as a patient. She had restless leg syndrome, and she invited me to come host a couple workshops at her gym. Cool, great. I don't have to pay for rent or pay for the room fees. And then she was going to do a lot of marketing around the gym, right? Host flyers and things like that. The first one, Saturday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. 2 people showed up. Okay, I brushed it off to, it's July. It's the middle of the summer. So maybe let's do one in September. One person showed up. You guys, I'm going on 2 years of multiple live workshops at this point. All of 2018, all of 2019. Besides these live workshops, I'm doing lives on Facebook. Facebook was the thing that I just decided I was going to start with because that was most familiar to me. It was the only social media platform I had been on personally. So I felt like I knew it quite well. And I felt like that's where my avatar was. Okay. TikTok didn't exist. At least it didn't exist in my world at this point. I don't know when it existed. But anyways, Instagram, everybody someone told me to get on Instagram. I make some excuse. My husband told me 9 million times to start a podcast. I make 1 million excuses. Don't make excuses either. That stops progression. Take action. Action creates momentum. If you're hitting a stall point wherever you are in your practice, take action. You want to know what's blown up my practice the last 2 years? Well, 1, COVID, 2, labs, and 3, I am not afraid to take action. I will have an idea on a Thursday. I will pitch it on a live workshop on a Monday, and we will have the event the next week. Take action. Action creates momentum. Okay, that's the beginning chapters of chapter 1, chapter 2, 2018, 2019 in my live workshop journey. Then COVID happens and the world opens up. I was already virtual at this point because I had gotten sick with my daughter. I was pregnant with her. Got sick with her in the fall of 2019. So I bagged the brick and mortar practice and we went virtual. I only had a few people brick and mortar anyway, so it was really not hard to just tell them I wasn't going to be, I wasn't having an office space anymore, but I would love to work with them still over Zoom. I ended up referring 2 out of the 3 out. One stuck with me, but the other 2 wanted to do the brick and mortar thing until 6 months later, COVID happened. And then it just, but the first time I held a virtual workshop, there I've learned so many ways on how to make this successful and how to avoid failing it. Okay. But I'm going to tell you again, the first 4, 5, 6 months, nobody attended. I would jump on a Zoom feed. I dreaded them because I was like, okay, well, where are the participants coming in at? Here's 2 of them. Okay, we got 3. Oh, 1 just left. So stick with it. The point of me telling you these stories is one, for you to see where I was versus where I am. And the fact that I persevered, I stuck with it. I continued to do all the things, to do the Facebook. Then I started an Instagram. Then I started my podcast first. And then I jumped over to Instagram and TikTok in the last 10 months. I don't run ads to my workshops at this point in time. That's going to change this next go around because I've locked in my skill set. I am freaking good at these workshops. And if you've ever been on one with me, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, but it didn't transform overnight. In fact, the best way I learned how to host a workshop, I got on other people's workshops, not other colleagues, people, marketing experts, business experts, consultants. Again, I'm telling you guys, I paid over $750,000 for consultants, for help, for people helping me to build my business, whether it be the website or the funnels or whatever the heck it is. The most important money I've ever spent is mindset coaching. Again, I hated talking about money. Gave me chills up my spine. I didn't want to talk about $1. I didn't want to talk about $5,000. I didn't want to talk about $10,000 or even $100,000. I don't want to talk about money, period. It's all changed. And now I love to talk about money because money means opportunities to change your life. Mindset coaching. That's why it's a requirement in my 90-day program. And that's why we're going to hit it even harder in the new and upgraded mastermind. And I brought in some of the best experts. In fact, Nicole Mitchell is going to be joining me inside the mastermind, but keep it a secret because I haven't told much about it yet. This girl's brilliant when it comes to sales, money, and mindset. Brilliant. Okay, like I said, I work with the best in the world. I'm going to bring the best in the world to you guys. The 90-day program is where you start. You can't get in the mastermind until you do the 90-day program. I got to make sure that foundation is strong. All right. Now I can talk about money in my live workshops. And now I have 50 people come on, all from just regular email list, Facebook, Instagram, somewhat on TikTok. I kind of bagged TikTok the last few months just because I ran out of energy, don't have any drive to going back on it, really pushing hard on social media, period, at the moment. But I just want you guys to know that that was my chapter 1. It took me 2 years of failure after failure after failure of hosting those live in-person events to where I'm going now on Zoom. Again, the first few times I ran it on Zoom, it was 2, 3 people, maybe even 1 person showed up. But then I took that recording from the Zoom feed, I posted it on YouTube channel, and then I invited people to watch the secret replay link. Then it turned into 50 views, 70 views, 100 views, 120 views. Next thing I know, I've got people paying me $500 without even me talking to them to read their labs and read their blood work. But people didn't join me live. I would go live during lunch hour. I refuse to give up my evenings now. My evenings are for my kids and my family. I went live during, it was noon Mountain Standard Time, which would have been 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. Pacific. So trying to do that in that hour block when people could join me on their lunch break if they so choose. So do the things, record it, go live, record it, practice, run it again in next week. Run it again in next month. Do it over and over and over again. So you are so confident in it. And you are so confident in your ability to pitch. When I say pitch, I'm talking invite them into the next opportunity to change their life. If they say no, that's okay. They're not valuing their health enough yet. It's not because your pricing is wrong. Maybe you stumbled with the pitch. And when I say stumbled, the hardest person is to sell is yourself. If you are not confident in that opportunity, the sales will fail. You must be confident. I know what my opportunities produce for people. I am so confident in them and the number I attach with them. Now, when it comes to numbers, let me give you a secret here. The first secret, pick a number that rolls off your tongue. The price tag I'm talking about. It must be instilled in you that that's the value of it. Number two, say the number quickly. Something like this. $6,000 versus $6,997. Which sounds less expensive? Or say $5,450 versus $5,450, which sounds less expensive. Here's another tidbit. Package everything up. Do not sell individual pieces or have a la carte items. They only see cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. People want you to help them get better. Give them everything they need to accomplish that result. And then put a price tag on that everything that they need. Price it at the result. Chapter 1 versus chapter 22. $750,000 later. 4.5 years of trial and error. 4.5 years of I don't care, I'm doing it anyways. Push fear aside and go for it. Action creates momentum. Without action, you have no momentum. You need some help? Come join the 90-day program. You can find the details at the next round at drkylieburton.com.